Welcome again to the 1760 sessions, where we talk to founders who are building out systems and impact. I'm Harry Thornberry from 1760 Strategic AI, and I'm joined today by the fantastic Luke Koval, founder of Gratitude Gardens Company, a mission-driven brand revitalizing communities through gardens, apparel, and events. Luke, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, pleasure, Harry. Glad to be here.
So, to kick off with, I've obviously learned quite a bit about Gratitude Gardens, but what led you to starting the business?
So I got into cannabis about 7 years ago when it started in Pennsylvania. Prior to that, I had only worked in nonprofits. And then previously, like with a lot of education and health and wellness. So brought me to cannabis was the health aspect of the medical and like seeing what it was doing for people in the community and beneficial with holistic health. And then had worked for some other companies for a while, but really wanted to blend the kind of community give back of the nonprofit background with the medicinal aspect of the cannabis program.
So your business model is fantastic in terms of that holistic health side of things. Everyone in this day and age is looking to do things essentially more healthily, whether it comes from the consumption of cannabis to eating to exercise. Can you talk to us a little bit about the problem that you really wanted to solve and that the impact you wanted to make?
Yeah, just as the first patient-owned and operated brand in the state, something me and my business partner Chris, we had been in this program, like I said, for 7 years, have seen a lot of good, but also saw some stuff we weren't very happy with. We wanted to start a brand that we could stand behind every product that went out into the market. Um, if we wouldn't consume the product, we wouldn't sell it. Like we've had batches that came down and we're like,
I
you
love
know
to
what,
hear that.
this doesn't meet our quality. We could push it out into the market, but for us, there's no price low enough for a bad batch. Like if I bought an eighth at a dispensary and it was $5, but it was too dry and I couldn't even put it in my device, that was a waste of the $5 to us.
And I'd love to hear that quality side of things is being tested by you guys.
Yeah.
You wouldn't put that out into the market, like the conversation we had earlier, unless you think it was clean and pure yourself. So that's fantastic to hear. With that, so the business has been going a while now. When you made your first project or that first, say, resin that you thought was perfect for the market, did you have an aha moment? What sort of validated your approach? Was it just you two turning to each other and being like, "We've done it," or how did it come about?
Man, I still think we're still not celebrating it because we're always like pushing that envelope to be better. And we have to remind ourselves like, wow, look where we started, look where we're at. I think probably the first was like that first patient feedback, like from somebody we didn't know. Had a really cool interaction. One of the dudes from the Disco Biscuits, killer jam band here in Pennsylvania in the States. It's been around for like 30 years. Reached out totally organically to our Instagram. Was like, hey, I caught your story on Sunnyside's website, and I wanted to check out the brand. That the naming really called out to me, and like the product was great. Going to continue to support, keep doing what you're doing. So like things like that were like really big.
That
Um,
is cool.
yeah, it wasn't just like our friends that we knew in the space that were
You're
trying
getting
it.
actual someone who's well known, professional
Yeah,
within the space.
yeah.
That must have been a pretty special moment.
Oh, it was
Um,
awesome, especially from having listened to them, and they're very well known. Like if you go into a dispensary vault, someone's probably going to be listening to Disco Biscuits at some point. So to know
okay.
there was that like connection, it's like a nice little pin to put on.
So Disco Biscuits, I take it, are a well-known band then?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They just did a 30th anniversary tour. They had a
Okay.
little residency in Philly. They're back touring again this fall. They're a cool band,
I will have to check them out.
definitely.
They might be the soundtrack to my walk later this afternoon.
Definitely, and that
Um,
actually led to a like a collaboration for a direct to consumer gummy, like we were talking about the hemp
nice.
derived. They
Yeah.
just liked our level of quality that we put into products, so we're actually working on releasing soon what's called the Gamma gummies.
Wow.
We'll actually have a little bit of a design of what that design will look like
I love
here.
it.
Yeah, the Gamma Goblins is one of their dope songs that they play at a lot of shows, and so we feel that name played off. We're using like a high quality, all natural ingredient gummy from melt to make, to then infuse with hemp derived THC, and those will be able to be shipped to consumer too.
My big question is going to be, can you ship them to the UK?
Man, you know what? I have to check. I'm gonna say probably not. Probably
Probably
not.
not
Depends.
due to
Depends on the
regulation.
rules. Because there's some
Yeah.
certain states in the states that are also not allowed. Like I think we're able to ship to like 41 out of 50.
Okay. Well, maybe when my founder is back in LA, you can ship them to him, and I can get my
Yep,
hands on some.
definitely.
So that's awesome. We're hearing some great stuff about your band, about the band. We're hearing some great stuff about the gummies and the direction you're going. What would you think has been your greatest success so far, aside from the two already we just spoke about?
Yeah, we did plant our first community garden in Hazleton, PA, which is the town I grew up in. They've one dispensary there, which we're also in. That was really cool, like, because the dispensary is actually located next to a restaurant I worked at through high school and college, Damon's Sports Bar. So, like, I can literally go in the dispensary now. Like, that is also a big thing. Like, being able to walk in the dispensary and pick up a package and be like, oh, I designed that. That's our weed.
Very cool.
That was definitely a cool moment.
And do you still go and purchase from the shops, or probably not now and then?
No, you know what's wild is unfortunately I do. It's I have to sell it into the dispensary, and there's usually about a 100% markup. Like if we sell it for 25, they'll sell it for 50. I gotta go buy it for 50 at the dispensary.
Of course,
Yeah, so
it's
it's like
only
a
going
bit.
back into the business.
Yeah, and that's also the benefit of us being patient owned and operated. Like I said, we're consuming the stuff we're making. We're buying it just like everybody else. We're not a brand from like another state that's just like, oh, what are our sales this month? We're actually going in, talking to the bud tenders, the patients right next to us,
Yeah.
and tell them, hey, I'm buying this strain. We just washed it, we just pressed it, or we just finished drying this one. I'm really looking forward to it. But it also goes into that level of care that goes into it because just like I wouldn't want, a family member going in to buy something that they weren't happy with, I'm also going to buy it. So we QC if we open a bag and there's something that isn't right with it, we
Yeah.
go in and look at that batch to say, hey, something was off here.
I love this. It's like on the spot feedback. So, had there been examples where you've potentially gone into a dispensary and someone's changed their order to purchase some of yours just because they're hearing about the purity and the cleanliness of it?
You know that yes, it happens every time we're at a pop-up, which is awesome. It's just
Yeah.
the limitations on marketing. If we could tell our story like more visually and like commercial wise, it would even skyrocket faster. But we do pop-ups outside the dispensary, and I've worked for multiple brands before mine. And when you're telling people that are coming in, and you're like, oh, you know what? I actually live 15 minutes from you. I'm down the street in this town, or I shop at this store. Do you know this person? We just did one with a group Ethos yesterday, and about 3 or 4 people ended up having online orders and then changing
Love
or
that.
adding the product
Yeah.
on. It's like, oh man, we go to the same place, and so we're able to develop that connection that other brands aren't through that just here.
Build community within your brand, and it's also that strengthens then word of mouth.
Yep.
And it makes people. I love the whole. I live down the street. I live over here. 'Cause that also humanizes things for people. And I think
Yeah.
that people will go and purchase those brands knowing that okay, this is something that's come from my community, or I know that this has heard it from someone else that says it's good. So I love that side of things.
And that's really we've taken a different approach. Just like our marketing is authentic, organic. Like I said, it's just me and Chris. Like Chris is the man behind. Like he knows all the cultivation, the extraction. Like when this was getting rolling, there's nobody else I thought of. I'd rather partner with on that. And from the branding and marketing and community engagement side, like Pittsburgh has such a cool small business, cool like
Yeah.
almost coalition just organically from salons to breweries to coffee shops. Everybody trying to support each other. So we do collabs in that sense of like, oh, we're gonna go like we're eating at these breweries, drinking at these breweries, whatever, and talking about our brand with them. We're supporting them. They're supporting us. When we first launched, a gentleman had just bought the Irish bar down the street in the strip called Harp and Fiddle, and he was all decked out. Stopped by. He's like, "Oh, what do you guys got here?" Told him, "Hey, first patient owned and operated brand. Somewhere with it." He's like, "Wow." He's like, "I just bought Harp and Fiddle." He's like, "I'm gonna go in and buy an eighth." He's like, "Come down and have a pint of Guinness, at the end of the day."
Yeah.
Like things like that. Other like you don't get to have those interactions.
Yeah.
We're
Of course.
sponsored like yoga event in a couple weeks with just they do them at different wineries and things. Just have big open air like fun like minded people. So it's just a really cool grassroots way to grow the brand.
And I love that. And I wish there was more of that in London, to be honest. And I think there are
Maybe
communities
we'll come there and
maybe.
bring it. We'll bring some gratitude to y'all.
I was about to say, I know there are communities within London. There's a lot of different places, especially where I live in North and East, where there's a lot of community vibe. But that seems even stronger. And I think from a long line of Irishmen, my side as well, the Guinness side of things sounds even better. So I think my next trip to the US might have to stop in Pittsburgh.
Yes, sir. We're here. It's a beautiful, beautiful city to visit. I'd say post winter. Once we come up,
Okay.
like fall is a beautiful time. Spring is a beautiful time. Summer's not bad. I like when it stays a little cooler and under 90s, but a lot of green space, a lot of good stuff to do.
I'd love to hear that. So we've got now an image of the business, you guys, the community, why you're here, what you're looking to achieve. So we're now going to jump into the business and ops side of things, operations. So what are your primary revenue streams at the moment? Does it come from the resin? Does it come from, and I think you have some clothing as well. Events, I think, are community run, and your garden projects. What's your primary revenue at the moment coming from?
Yeah, primary is coming through, our live rosin and our flour. They're the big revenue streams throughout the dispensaries. We're getting
Okay.
ready to launch an all-in-one, which is really exciting. That's just going to be a vape device that has the battery right on it. We'll take our premium solventless oil and melt that down from a fresh press. A very unique strategy with a device that was made specifically for live rosin oil. I anticipate that being the next biggest one because only about 5% of the market consumes concentrates, where about 95% consumes vapes. It's just a more easier format to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the things like you mentioned, like the gardens, we actually do that just from a portion of our revenue. We take that to be able to go and put them in
Okay.
playgrounds and
Give it
places.
back.
Yeah, it's a way for us to connect with the community. It's cool. The first one we were doing, like one of my old chemistry teachers was playing. There was a pickleball court next to it, and I'm like, man, that looks like Mr. Missouri. And I'm looking, and my daughter was with me. It was a cool moment. Hadn't seen him since I was about 17 or
Yeah.
18. And he was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, selling weed." He's like, "Not surprised." I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's totally medical. It's and we're able to get out and do things in the community like this, and so just to even have support like that, people think there's
Yeah,
this,
cool.
and there's somewhat of a stigma still, but like it's not what it was, and like
And
I've
I think there
support.
always will be to an
Yeah,
extent.
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe your children who are growing up around it and that sort of age group who look up and see their parents potentially using it for health benefits, we could be entering a new world essentially.
Yeah, mine's seen it every step of the way. I mean, she was born into it. She was born in 2020 during COVID, and it was like, I was 2 years in. I'm like, oh, well, hey, we got to go down Delta 9, the dispensary down the street. We're going to Salivo. You coming with? So, like, she's even known in the space, like, through, cannabis events and things. Like, oh, where's Billy? She gets in and a little bit everywhere and knows about it too. Like, I want her to learn more about
Yeah,
like plants and animals than I do celebrities and things. So
I
she
love
like,
that.
gets to learn about how the process is done.
And she gets to go to some exciting outdoor parks, as we know.
Exactly.
Um, Next up, it's in terms of operationally, there's two of you in the organisation. How's handling community? Who sits on marketing and who does the ops, or is it a share of the load?
It's a little bit of shared load. It's cool. We're really great, like a yin yang relationship. I'll say. I've done all the branding, like the packaging design, the marketing. Um, Chris has done all of the strategic operations from setting up the cold room for extraction, infusing some new genetics, some cultivation practices. That's all coming from Chris, and then we both work on selling it into the market and just building the brand itself.
Okay.
Um,
And
and a
so,
lot of the resources for the marketing comes from Chris, like things on how the product's done or like why the strain has that flavor. I lean on him for the back end and then push the education out.
okay, so that's kind of what you said about the growth and the marketing side of things. Um, that's what we're going to dive into next. So when it comes to new customers or new clients, how do you go about attracting both?
Yeah, so it's cannabis it's B2B, but it's really B2C. And if you don't attack it in that B2C format, you're not going to do well. There's so much being produced in our market specifically. Our market's very dominated by what they call MSOs, a multi-state operator. So you have folks like Trulieve or a Cresco. They've operated in multiple states.
Yeah.
And they're just bigger. They have a lot more opportunity. They have 100,000 square foot grows. We're operating out of about a 30,000 square foot canopy. So from that standpoint, they control a lot of the portion of the market, and then there's fewer independents. So we have to also build our brand throughout the consumer, the end patient, and let them attract them, get to them. We do that a lot through social media, through our pop-up events, just being present. Like I said, that community scheduling of grassroots popping up outside the dispensary. You'll never catch me without a gratitude shirt on. I just like spread that message, building the brand. And then from a customer standpoint on the B2B side, it's good and bad. You basically know, hey, these are the 180 open dispensaries. These are the 10 buyers or so for this, so you know who to reach out to. But it's also limited marketing. If you're not into that circle or you can't get in, then it's hard to get your product to the shelves. Even if patients want to see it, you have to still get through on.
Okay, so yeah, this is someone's going to shape some of our conversation today around potentially those extra customers who are outside of potentially the community, and how you can get to them potentially through new sources like AI, for example. Rewinding back, you spoke about social media and using that as a tool to bring in new customers and new dispensaries potentially. How much time do you or your partner weekly spend on content or social outreach?
Probably too much. No, I'm one of those. Is like I'm on my phone in the morning doing it. Like I'm between like creating the content in there, making sure, hey, Chris, we got to film this video. Man, I'd probably say, 20 hours is probably high. It's not that much. Probably like 10 really. But like that's diving into like making
And
new
across
product.
10 hours a day.
I'd probably give it a solid like 3 hours a day. Depending on the week too. Because we want, when we come down with new strains or new product lines, want to make sure to get that out there. So we want to be the educators in this market. If you look at our social media page, you'll see a lot of information on like how the product's made, why we use certain micron spreads that go into the live rosin. Because whether our product is the one that the consumer is going to purchase, we want it to be the right one. Like when we're outside the dispensary, we're telling them about how we do it and what our product is. Hopefully that's what they're looking for. If it's not, we're going to help them guide to something else. Even if we don't have a strain for them. Not every strain is right for everybody. So we like to talk and say, hey, like, what are you looking for? What flavor? What type of effect? And if we don't think one of ours fits that model, we're going to try and help them find one that does. It's still medicine to us.
I really like that. So it's the education piece that's involved with your product, because you want to make sure if someone's actually getting involved or purchasing this resin, for example, they're fully up to date on why it is in the market and what it's about.
Exactly.
So are you tracking anything like conversion rate, traffic from your social content? Are you looking into how it's performing?
Not extremely data driven in that sense, outside of like getting tagged in posts from it when we kind of ask for reviews of certain products, because that's the other like kind of half-edged sword, is being that it is a medicinal program. Like we have a very interactive social media page, but there might be 1,200 people following it. And there's 400,000 patients in the state. The majority of people are kind of going in, getting the medicine, going out, and not like posting about it. So to be able to, outside of like highly engaged posts or like reviews on Reddit, and then seeing certain strains sell faster that are correlated to that, it's more or less just correlational.
Okay, nice. Have you ever considered anything like AI generated content streams?
You definitely have. I'm not as well versed in it. Like I could, get on to try and like gear and make some content wise, or look up some stuff faster, but not like a consistent.
Because that is the benefit. It's, as you said, it's that 3 hours a day. What could I do if I got that 3 hours back? 1 hour potentially, because you want to put in some time. And it's with AI, I always feel like AI is here, but we still need the human touch. Okay,
Yeah.
and essentially, you can maybe cut 2 hours of your day out and get that 2 hours back by putting it into AI by having constant flow of content via AI.
Yeah.
So, aside from the social media that we've spoken about, what technology are you using at the moment for your organization? Are you using a CRM tool? Are you using a shop platform? What is it that's helping you guys, your system stay alive essentially?
Yeah, honestly, we're a small batch and use a lot just through Excel and track our customers like old school, like doing our menu on an Excel database. That's somewhere where we could probably benefit from a more streamlined like AI approach. Um, and then yeah, pretty much tracking like being that it is a closed market that we know who our customers are. That one's an easily tracked database and be like, all right, these are the 180 shops, but they're only maybe probably 6 or 7 of them have 20 themselves. So there might be 6 buyers for 120 of those shops. So not as many reach outs as would be necessary if they're 120 individual. But that's all kind of just kept in track in our internal systems.
Yeah, you're talking to the right, you're singing to the choir. I live by sheets still myself. It's a hard habit to break.
Yeah.
Uh, we've spoken about, look, we've spoken about potential, the way your operations and business, the potential lead generation through, either whether that be through social media, through word of mouth. We've spoken about what software you're using, and you're still very much in Google Sheets and Excel Sheets. If you could fix one of these to be very smooth running today, which one would it be?
Probably more communication between like inventory and sheets, like make that
Okay.
update of like, oh, this order came in, and now it's automatically processed through and removed from inventory, and the next person's not gonna see that. So we like good problem to have when you oversell. Customers
Yeah.
not happy. I don't want to go to someone and be like, oh, we're out of that. It's nice when you have something else to replace it with, but if 2 or 3 people order the same thing at the same time, it is, who clicked send first. It does
Yeah.
come to that sometimes.
I
Like,
can
oh, we gotta
imagine. Yeah.
but it's a good problem to have. But also as avoiding that as much as possible. So
Of course. And from the technology side of things, how do you see technology helping you to scale with your mission objectives?
um, definitely in taking away some of the like I probably like most people. The place I want to be least is sitting in front of the computer. Like I have 2, 3 screens up here, and when I'm dragging back and forth between Excel sheets, automating more of the kind of like menus going out to our customers while still maintaining that touch. Because with just the two of us, we are out in the market all day, and then we're also got to get the orders back in where being out in market's the fun part. So if we could, and that's where the brand gets built. So the more we could be out there, and the less on the back end.
Okay, I love to hear that. So from then onwards, I'd love to hear that get streamlined for you, and then alongside technology and scaling done right for your organisation, Gratitude Gardens. What does what does the next 3 to 5 years look like? Do you think?
Hey, I don't know. A lot of people ask us about like, oh, would you go another state? Like your brand's so popular, like going well. I'm like, honestly, I think it's doing well. It's being so well received because we are here. We're local. That is the like that is I personally I don't want to be a multi-state brand. I think it loses it once you get into it and there's other people, not you, doing it. I'm very content. Like I think the total amount of wealth is me being able to pick up my daughter at school, drop her off, um, be able to just live a normal, good life like that. Um, from a new market perspective, if we were going to expand the Gratitude Gardens brand, I would more so want to do it through someone like ourselves that has already been in that state, ingrained in, has kind of cut their teeth in the market, and hey, this is your Gratitude Gardens, like as if they was like franchise, but it's their story to tell, and let them build their spin-off brand to hopefully they could then get their name big enough to where their name was Billy Bob is well now it's Billy Bob's Garden, and now
Yeah.
he has his own brand and somebody else comes in almost like an incubator to lift people up.
Would they
um,
use your product then? Sorry.
I would say probably our product and SOP and branding to help out with that front, because
it's like almost like you're franchising the business within
yeah,
each state, but it's your own baby to grow in your community.
exactly. It's like I don't want to tell my story in Ohio or New Jersey. Like it doesn't mean as much.
Yeah, nah.
But someone that's born and bred there, their story does, and it's their gratitude garden. It's why like what they're grateful for. So that would be the ultimate kind of being able to give other people opportunities. I do think this will or should be the kind of next frontier of cannabis, because all of these big corporations have great people working within them, just like we were, that have brand ideas that are, not to say better, but yeah, better than what they're putting out. Instead of it's just a logo, it has a brand story. A logo's not a brand. Like you got to have that story behind it.
You got to have the story behind it.
Yeah.
It's not even just the story; it's the community behind it as well.
Yep, absolutely.
And then and I think this is kind of a good place to wrap up. And with that, what are so we spoke 3 to 5 years, the image, and I like it. What metrics are aligned with that? Are you and your partner sitting there in a boardroom together, or is it let's just take it day by day?
Yeah, it's kind of like a day by day, taking our wins and losses and bumps and bruises along, and just trying to grow it. We have a great community around us, just from always have being operated authentically. We're about to the vape I mentioned. We're doing that collaboration with a legacy hash maker, Tony from Blue River Terps. He's been around and doing it a long time. I got to meet him when I went up to cover Massachusetts, and now he's really just pushing out his IP. Because he, similarly, like I said, I don't necessarily want to be in every brand or every market. I'm sorry. He's like, I would rather, I've spent so many years developing these products. I would rather have people I like and respect in these markets push it out, and then you're going to be buying these units off me to make it, but it's going to be your branding and you telling your story. So kind of very, very similar.
That's very cool. And I'm very much going to be tracking your journey very, very closely now we've met. So that's a good place to wrap up. We will stay on the line for a second. But is there any closing notes? I think it's been fantastic. And from me, what I've learned today is hugely about the community within Pittsburgh. And I think that's awesome to see you helping each other. And everyone probably wants everyone to win and see brands grow. And I think that is something every community in every major city should take away from this, as it's a dogfight out there, and it really shouldn't be.
Absolutely. The more we could support our neighbors, the better. Lift us all up. It's that's the big thing. That's why we are out in the playgrounds, out doing stuff within the community. Just not because it's a shtick, but because it's our community. So
yeah,
we want to see it lifted.
Of course. And well, thank you so much for joining us today, Luke.
Pleasure, Harry. Appreciate you.
Bye bye.